We all know that North Myrtle Beach is the place to be if you want to experience our state dance, shag. And we all know that before 1968, the name North Myrtle Beach didn't even exist. But here are some facts I bet you didn't know.
There's some poles in next to Highway, Sea Mountain Highway, right in front of the Amico station and Elliott Realty, right across the road from it. There's some poles. You go by, you'll see poles setting out in there. That used to be the road coming in to Cherry Grove. They called that Fetcher's Beach. And that's when they had the horses, the carts and everything they pull, you know, and they rode to town with it. And that's the way they done. There wasn't no highway. You came across that the bridge out there, walkway. They had it a bridge out there, built of wood. And they go over Fetcher's Beach, and they get the fish. People at school was fishing at that time over there. I don't remember too much about it because it was a little bit before me, okay? But I know my daddy and my uncle, you know, told me. And but that's how they used to get down there, because the road coming into Cherry Grove came from turn side of the Putt-Putt golf course. You go in behind them houses and go back out, and you could go into the neck, which was dirt road, and going out to the bridge out there. And that's how you got into the beach, and then they built Sea Mountain Highway down in there. But those pilings out there, there's probably a couple of them left, and I know they about to be forgotten, but that's how you used to get to the beach.
When we're talking about the shag that they did when it started, when it came from the jitterbug, to what the shag is today, it certainly has changed in a lot of ways. I think it's all good. I don't think everybody thinks it's wonderful, but things have to change to stay alive, and that's what's happened. There were not as the fancy steps. You danced. It was a male-dominated shag to begin with. The lady just did a basic, and the guy did all the fancy steps, pretty much. And it was a difficult dance, but it's not something you can pick up real easily. It's like a lot of the other dances, you have to learn them. But you have to realize that the people that are unfortunately gone now that really started the shag, if they had not taught other people, because they were self-taught. They danced with each other. They made up their own steps. And that's what they considered the shag. As it changed and people got older, if we didn't teach other people who wanted to learn, and at that time there were more people wanting to learn it that didn't have the advantage of growing up and just learning it with friends, had to be taught. And when you start teaching and breaking things down, you have to sometimes add or take away some things, but the basic has always been the basic. And once they learned that, and they got out on their own, they made up their own steps just like the former people did. So it changed. And then they started teaching the younger people that were coming in. Same thing happened. Those people learned the basic, and the basic today is the same basic they did back then, 6 beats. But they took it when they learned, and they added their own style, or maybe made up steps. So as the years have evolved, then the music stayed the same. They still dance the same music, but they dance differently because they're innovative and they've added steps. They've made competition out of it, which has kept it alive. People that would love to do it sit on the sidelines and watch because they can't believe what they see. And now we have what we call junior SOS, and we have them as young as 6 and 7 years old learning the basic. And I guarantee you, when they get older, they're going to do their own twist on it. But the thing of it is, even though it's different, it stayed alive. And that's what we want to do, keep it alive.
Well, you know, Wartown was, that was just a name put on the area between the entrance to North Myrtle Beach, or the entrance of Ocean Drive at the time, till up to about where the First Baptist Church is here. Just in the area between there. You know, it's basically what Granddaddy owned, both sides of the highway right there. You know, he owned property on the east side and on the west side. And my granddaddy had, like I said, he was fairly well off in his day. He had what they call juke joints back in the day. And they were situated on one on one side and one on the other, best I remember. And they were, places where people come to drink, whatever. And that's where he made money off of that. And then, somehow that it got to be called Wardtown because I guess because he owned it. Wardtown was there way before I was born. So I don't really remember how Wardtown got started, but it was that. But after Granddaddy died, like I said, he died in 1957. It sort of, it all. And my mother hated it. She hated that, all of that right in there, because she had to raise 4 boys. Actually, there was 4 of us, but the youngest one is 6 years younger than I am, and he didn't go through that like I did, and my other 2 brothers, as far as that part of town, or that part of the, but like I say, it was a 2-lane highway, it was just those type buildings on one on one side of the road, one on the other. Then Granddad lived where right now where Hardy, McDonald, Pizza Hut is, that's where he lived. And I lived where, right across from Hardy's, right straight across from the highway of Hardy's, which is, like I said, 300 yards from here. So that's where, that's how it got started. And then in 57, when Granddad died, it pretty much ended. All that ended, and then my aunts leased the land to Hardy's, and Daddy actually leased where Pizza Hut, not where Pizza Hut is now. Pizza Hut actually was leased by Daddy on our land, but Pizza Hut did so well there, they wanted to enlarge the building, and the city of North Myrtle Beach wouldn't let them go any further, closer to the road. So they in turn went across the highway on this side, west side, and leased land from my aunts, where Pizza Hut is now, Hardy's. So all that land there is and then it all went from Hardy's, what is there now, Pizza Hut is there now. There's a bar across the road, the Clubhouse Bar is where I lived, and I still live in the same house that I lived in then. I just moved that house in 1973. I moved that house from where it was to where it is now. I live on the other side of the waterway now.
It grew to the point that there were way more kids here than anybody could ever hope to keep in line. It was just a time bomb waiting to go off, and it went on for years and years. And the city began to promote, allowing like beer promotions and things like this, and that went on for a number of years, and it just kept drawing more and more kids for spring break. And I can't really tell you what year it was, but Philip Tillman was the mayor, and he got the blunt, the axe for it. But it was just decided that the city needed to sort of back away, because it was sort of, as I felt, an endorsement for underage drinking, because there were a lot of kids there that would. And I guess the big decision for me was I was down on the Horseshoe, which is the area there at Main Street in the Ocean. And it was just wall-to-wall kids back in those days, as far as you could see. It was just kids, kids, kids. And it was hard to maintain and enforce laws. There were, it got to the place where fighting and things like that became more of a problem. And it just occurred to me one day that we were going to end up having a riot, which we had had one in 1966. And we were going to have another one, and things sort of got out of a little hand there about 69, I guess it was. But nobody wanted to listen. But later, as the years passed by, the crowds grew larger, the law enforcement remained basically the same number, and it just occurred to me that we were going to get some bad publicity, that it was going to come to the point that we were going to have a big riot, we were going to have people hurt, things like this. And so basically what I did was snuck in the back door, and I went to the Ministerial Association and told them, we have a problem and we need some help. The politicians are afraid because of public sentiment, the same thing that Myrtle Beach just went through with the motorcycle to do, and we need some help. So the Grand Strand Ministerial Association started becoming more vocal about some of the goings on that were going on during these periods of times. Mother's Day was also another duplicate of it, and it was finally suggested that we need to put an end to this. And so that happened probably sometimes in the mid to late 80s. And you didn't have to be local. I mean, there were a lot of kids that came here with house parties. They came here with families, whatever, they got into trouble. And if we felt that the family was receptive and could take charge of the situation, and we could be assured that there wouldn't be a repeat offense and whatnot, a lot of times kids were. They got big breaks. And as a matter of fact, we ended up being reprimanded by the state Supreme Court for doing some of this, and it began to slow down after that.
I was fishing one day, and I was fishing with a friend, and we were fishing for bass, red bass, and he had never been fishing before, and I took him fishing. And he didn't even have an outfit. I furnished him a rod and reel and all, baited his hook for him, and we cast out, and we were sitting there hoping to get a bite, you know, and all of a sudden one hit his. Boy, I mean, he reared back on that thing. I said, now take it easy. I said, those things run in pretty good size at times. And, oh man, he is struggling. Well, all of a sudden, pow, it broke the line. I said, see there, I told you should have played him. Of course, I had my bait out there too, and he reeled it in, and I was getting ready to put another rig when my pole started jumping. I reached over and I set the hook. I said, well, I got one. And boy, I fought and I fought and I fought. I was having a hard time. I said, I can't imagine what I got. Well, I finally reeled it into the edge of the boat. We had a dip net there. I said, get the dip net. I got him right at it. I said, put it down under him. And it was a pretty nice spot tail, probably 10, 12 pounds. And about the time he pulled it up and got it in the boat, I saw another fish whirl about 6 foot away. Well, what had happened, when his line broke, that spot tail probably, he was tired and all, he just settled right down. Well, when I hooked my fish, he was going back and forth. Well, he got tangled in that line, and we got both of those fish.
So as you can see, we're hard at work documenting history for the future North Myrtle Beach Area Historical Museum. And here's one more fact: we need you. Come join us in our effort to preserve North Myrtle Beach area history.